Now, I'm going to leave you this morning with a little bit of a treat. Simon Armitage, the poet laureate, talking about his poem, The Patriarchs. You may have read it. It's an elegy written for the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral yesterday. Earlier, the poet laureate told me how he approached writing this particular poem. Until next week, goodbye.
I think over the previous months, I had a few ideas in the back of my head, but on the day that he died, I just started all over again. I took my cue from the weather, which I think is, I suppose, a very British thing to do, and tried to write outward from there. I'd heard a lot of the commentaries at the time about the Duke of Edinburgh disproving of sycophancy and about his duty and his service. And I really wanted to write a poem that extended out from the details of his life and really became a poem about his generation and the things that they represented.
Because he and the Queen are, in many ways, one of our last physical links to all our yesterdays and that generation. So the war and those people, but also a different way of handling yourself, if I can put it that way, a different way of dealing with the world.
I think so. And I think as younger generations, we recognise that in them, that they do seem to have this connection which, with a world that's disappearing over the hill. And I've tried to include those atmospheres and tones in the poem, as well as incorporating, details of the Duke's life himself.
Well, I'm not a poetry critic, but I would say highly successfully. Simon, could you read the poem for us, please?
The Patriarchs, an Elegy. The weather in the window this morning is snow, unseasonal singular flakes, a slow winter's final shiver. On such an occasion, to presume to eulogize one man is to pipe up for a whole generation. That crew whose survival was always the stuff of minor miracle, who came ashore in orange crate coracles, fought ingenious wars, finagled triumphs at sea with flaming decoy boats and sidestep torpedoes. Husbands to duty, they unrolled their plans across billiard tables and vehicle bonnets, regrouped at breakfast. What their secrets were was everyone's guess and nobody's business. Great-grandfathers from birth, in time they became both inner core and outer case in a family heirloom of nesting dolls. Like evidence of early man, their boot prints stand in the hardened earth of rosebeds and borders. They were sons of a zodiac out of sync with the solar year, but turned their minds to the day's big science and heavy questions. To study their hands at rest was to picture maps showing hatchet valleys and indigo streams, schemes of old campaigns and reconnaissance missions. Last of the great avuncular magicians, they kept their best tricks for the grand finale, disproving immortality and disappearing entirely. The major oaks in the wood start tuning up, and skies to come will deliver their tributes. But for now, a cold April's closing moments parachute slowly home. So by mid-afternoon, snow is recast as seed heads and thistledown.